advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
No, we should start out laughing because you are a comedian.
They have to warn you that anything these people say is, they don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. So I have here, as you can see, one of my favorite comedy writers of all time, David Zucker. I'm so honored to have you.
Well, thank you for pronouncing my name right.
Really? I did this
Zucker,
correct?
yes.
Zucker?
A lot of people say Zucker. All my high school teachers always said Zucker. So.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm happy that I did it correctly. I don't know how I knew that.
Well, you did something right.
Exactly. He is the director, writer, producer, and now author.
I'm an author now, yes.
Yes, and there's his book. So this is the new book written by
Yes,
Mr. Zucker.
and my two cohorts, Jim
Yes,
Abrams and my
and
brother Jerry.
They're
Yeah.
all on the title. This is so exciting. He's known for his spoof. The most famous movie of yours is Airplane, and he's
Airplane,
also
yes.
known for all the Leslie Nielsen movies in Naked Gun series,
Yes,
Top Secret, and Scary Movie 3, 4, and 5.
that's correct.
Basketball. Kentucky was your first film.
Kentucky Fried Movie was our first movie, which we didn't direct. John Landis directed it.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And Brain Donors. So
And
a
Brain
lot.
Donors,
You've
yeah.
got a lot under your hat.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people. A lot of people who worked on the movies. There were a lot of movies, some of which I've forgotten already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's another one that I haven't mentioned, but I can't remember it. Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, people can go to IMDb and
Right, that's
look
right.
you up.
And I get forgetful. When you get to be elderly, you forget.
Stop, you're not.
No, not at all.
No, you're still very strong
Okay.
and ready to go.
Oh,
So,
I am. Yes.
so tell us what made you become so interested in comedy? Because you were really young when you were a baby.
Well,
when you made
yeah, I
Airplane.
think I can remember like around first or second grade started getting interested in comedy, talking up and just saying whatever I wanted in class,
Right.
and that continued through high school, and then we turned it into a vocation.
I see.
Yeah, well, I mean, fortunately, there were a lot of people in our high school class who were funnier than we were, but they were able to find jobs
Right.
after high school, or we all went to college, but we just decided to keep going instead of going to, getting jobs or going to law school.
Right.
Yeah.
Good decision, right?
I know.
You made a lot of us laugh, and
I
you
know.
brought a happiness to many homes.
And I was able to hire lawyers.
Okay,
I didn't have to
smart.
be one, right?
You know what Tom Hanks said about lawyers? He said that's the worst job ever because, when you're in school, you're always doing homework. As a lawyer, you're still doing homework,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it never ends.
Well, no, I think lawyers, they're smart, they're talented. I couldn't
Right.
do that. I don't want to,
Yeah, of course.
denigrate the law profession, although
Right.
there are a lot of crooks, as there are bad therapists. So,
Right.
yeah.
It's a 50-50. It's
Right.
like bad filmmakers, which you're not part of that.
There's mediocre in every
Everything.
field, yes.
Exactly. So I watched your film after one of my good friends in high school told me about your film.
Okay.
And he said it was his favorite film of all time, favorite comedy.
Yes.
And I think my high school boyfriend.
Yeah.
And-
Who shall remain nameless?
Nameless, yes. So, and that's when I was turned on to your films, and I watched it when I think 17 or 18 or something.
Oh, that's good.
And ever since then, I never thought I'd be sitting here in Los Angeles with you, interviewing you for a film I watched back in high school.
Right. And
What a small
having
world.
observed your high school career, I never would have thought this would come to pass either. So, yeah. But I'm glad it did.
Oh my goodness, David, you're so funny. So tell us, I followed the filmmaking profession as well. I went to Pepperdine. I got a master's in screenwriting. And so I'm a writer. And so I know a lot of people who watch our show are also writers. Like, what kind of advice would you give to a young writer? Like when you were coming through? What did you do that made you stand out? Because there's so many people.
Well, we certainly didn't learn it in college. I didn't learn about screenwriting.
Yeah.
That I learned from just making mistakes, once we did it. And the same with directing. I mean, I took directing courses in college, TV and movie, and we made some movies, but it really didn't prepare us for actually making Hollywood movies. That
Right.
we just had to learn on the job,
Right.
and we did. And we, fortunately, for example, in Airplane, the one thing I've learned is that the structure of a movie is so important.
Yes.
In comedy, in any movie, you have to have 3 acts in a movie to keep an audience's attention for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you have to have a first act, a second act, and a third act. We didn't know any of that.
Right.
And when we did Airplane, we wrote it, but we used an already existing screenplay by a man named Arthur Haley, who did a movie called 0 Hour. And this was a black and white 1957 movie. And it had the same plot. So
Okay.
it was a guy with PTSD from the war. He was on a plane. There was food poisoning. Is everything. He had to fly the plane down, and so we had that, and the movie worked, and
Yeah.
it worked not only because of, it worked because the jokes were funny, but that's all we did. We put in the jokes. One of the main reasons it worked was not of our doing. It was because the screenplay by Arthur Haley was so good.
Right.
And we didn't realize that at the time. And so
Right.
we had to learn on subsequent movies, from some amount of failure.
Yeah.
So I would, that's what I would advise people to: fail first, and then you learn.
Then you learn, and you learned on the job. That's good. That
We did
I
learn
think-
on the job,
I
right?
feel like that's true for most jobs. You don't really learn it in school. You
Right.
have
But I
to
mean,
do it.
but
learn
yeah,
it.
you have to do it. But also, what I could teach somebody is it's the importance of that 3 act structure, and
Yes.
learning that your protagonist has to have a problem.
Yes.
And what my brother always says, movies are 3 acts. In the first act, you get your hero up a tree,
Yes.
and the second act, you throw stones at him, and in the third act, you get him down. So that's
Okay.
basically, and we had
I like
no
that.
idea that. And we did this great movie called Airplane, and we didn't know,
How
we
why
didn't know
how good
to
it
do.
was.
We didn't. Well,
Yeah.
we knew how good it was. We didn't know why.
Okay. You didn't understand why. It
We
was
didn't
so
understand
good.
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and which is inspiring, and the book is inspiring, not because we were so great, but because we were so average,
Yeah.
and we were funny joke writers,
Right.
and we were funny guys, but there's a lot of things that we learned on the way, and so it's inspiring that you can start doing something and you can learn on the way, and you can people. You can do it. I'm not saying go ahead and do it. Most of the time, I'm asked, what advice would you give a young person starting out in the entertainment business? And I say, quit now, you'll never make it. And then it always gets a laugh like that. And
Right.
I think about it. I think, what a jerky thing to say. So
Right.
I said, and this is the first time I said this, I just improvised it. And I said, but if you can ignore that advice, you'll be halfway there. So
Okay.
that
Good.
is to say, I don't want to be responsible for saying to anyone, you can do it.
Yes.
It's like, 'cause you can't always
Right.
do it. It occasionally happens.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
luck of the draw.
Mhm.
You did it, like you said, you did it, you followed this other writer's format, and then that's why it was
Right,
right.
and
That's why it was right. It
the
was
luck-
done right.
The luck of the draw portion of it was that we discovered this movie 0 Hour. It
Mhm.
was playing on late night TV, and we were doing our live theater at the time, which included video segments, and the video segments many times included spoofs of commercials. So we would watch the late night movies, hoping to get a stupid commercial that we could make fun of
Yeah.
and get laughs. So one night, this movie 0 Hour played, and so we forgot about the commercials, and we said, this movie's pretty good.
Right.
It was good and bad. It was a kind of it was a melodrama, but it was so serious. We thought we could put jokes in, and so that's how Airplane started. And then
Oh, okay.
the other unique thing about Airplane is that we thought, okay, we're going to do a movie. We're going to remake this movie with jokes, but we're not going to use comedians. We're going to use actors exactly like the actors in 0 Hour. So that's how you got. So we cast Robert Stack, Peter Graves, Leslie Nielsen,
And they
and
were
Lloyd Bridge.
and it has that dry
And
type of comedy.
and nobody thought that could be funny. So
Okay. It's kind of brave,
well,
actually.
it was brave, not the way of facing bullets or anything,
Right.
but
Brave in terms of taking a chance.
yeah, take a chance. But
In
on
the
the
film
other,
industry.
on the other side of it, we didn't have anything to lose. I think we were pretty headstrong. We didn't know how impossible everything was. So when we left Milwaukee in 1971, we everybody said, "Well, what was your backup plan?" And we said there was no plan B. It's just, and I would make this a lame joke. I
Yeah.
said, "Well, I had my father's mattress business to fall back on," but that was just, I was just being silly.
Silly, yeah.
But we didn't have it. We not only didn't have a backup plan, but we had no doubts at all that we'd be
Yeah.
successful. So
Oh, that's
we were
amazing.
just completely confident, self-confident.
I think that's what it takes to succeed. Most of the people that I
lot,
know that succeeded say they never had a backup plan, and also that what was it like? Go west or bust, or what was that
Something like
saying?
that.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
forget.
Yeah, I don't think Columbus had a backup plan. He
No.
was just sailing west, and everybody said, "Well, you're going to fall off the edge of the earth." And
Yeah. And then so many of those first newcomers also burned their ships. They're like, we're not going back. This is it.
Right.
We're in America. Figure it out.
We weren't that brave. We
Yeah.
did not burn the ship. But, yeah.
No, you didn't burn your dad's credit card, right?
No,
No.
no. We actually, we started it with. We each invested $3,000 for the move out to LA, and
Okay.
that got us through about 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we found an abandoned building that we made into a theater, and we lived above
Wow.
what the theater was. Yeah, the place was ideal.
Perfect.
And we did it, and we needed a piano player. So this is all in the book. We had a great funny piano player who was part of our troupe in Madison,
Yeah.
and we had this little 70-seat theater, but he didn't want to come out with us.
Oh.
So we were very confident that we would succeed, but that was the missing piece. We needed this funny, goofy piano player, and as we say in the book, this guy, Steven Stucker, came along, who was just completely not what we were expecting at all. This is in 1972. We were just, 3-4 straight Milwaukee guys, just right off the boat.
Right.
And Steven Stucker was flamboyantly gay, and when we first met, we thought, "Oh, this guy's never going to work with us." But
Right.
he sat down to play the piano, and he was great, and he was funny, but not in a way that we ever expected. So that's another part of that we were lucky for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say.
Because I think when you're really set on this goal, you're attracting the right people.
I think that's a very apt way of putting it.
Yeah. I think you
We
just
think we attracted more
the theater,
good
and then
people.
you
Yeah.
attracted him, and so
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
you're going off the chain. Look at all these questions people are
Well,
watching.
I'm not answering any questions.
He's kidding. So you already answered one of them, and someone
Okay.
asked about was it hard to pick actors? You already said that.
Well, no, it wasn't, but it was hard to get some of them. Robert Stack, we took a long time to convince. We went to 3 different actors before we got to Leslie Nielsen. People were turning us down. Um, Peter Graves, when he read the script, hated it, threw it across the
Really?
room, and
Oh my God.
said, "This is the worst piece of trash I've ever read." So we had this executive producer named Howard Koch, who was this, old line Hollywood past president of the Motion Picture Academy and past president of Paramount. And he called up Peter and said, "Listen, why don't you come and meet the boys," as we were
Yes.
called. And so he did. And I think he probably figured he was going to meet with, 3 drugged out weirdos. And so,
because
but
it was so over the top.
yeah, it was so over the top. And he also, actors make the mistake of reading the script first. So he appeared to be playing a pedophile, a funny pedophile. So that probably put him off a little bit. But, when he met us, I think, we came across as, these Midwest guys from Milwaukee, and he signed on. He said, but it's all in the book, and that's the exciting thing about the book is seeing, how all this happened, and nobody ever knew this story before. I mean, it's just like you think that Airplane just happened, but it took a while, and it was turned down by every studio.
Wow.
Before finally Michael Eisner heard about it.
Wow, that's a big name too.
Yeah, Michael Eisner, head of Paramount at the time, and then later head of Disney, and then we met all these executives at Paramount it was an all-star team, and rather than it's not an unusual thing about the story is that the studio they weren't the bad guys, they weren't the idiots that they're often portrayed, at least these Paramount executives, Michael Eisner, Jeff Katzenberg, Frank Mancuso, there was the chairman was Barry Diller, Dawn Steele was head of merchandising or marketing, and all these people later became heads of their own studios, and they were they were all working under Barry Diller, and the way they handled the picture, which was brave, because it was they bought a pitch and a script which was a comedy without comedians, and already risky, and then first time directors, but there were 3 of us, and Paramount wanted to give it to some director who knew what he was doing or had experience. And we kept saying, no, we're going to direct. We have to do it. And we were right, because nobody else could have been able to do it.
I don't think anyone could have understood it the way
Nobody
you guys
understood it.
And that's why you were able to portray it.
Yes, because we had the experience of Kentucky Fried Movie, which we wrote, and we gave to John Landis to direct. And John did a great job. And in fact, he added a lot of gags that we had never thought of. Right. It was wonderful, but there were a lot of things that we thought, well, we would have done it a different way. We would have done it this way. We needed to have this happen, and especially the editing, all that stuff. So we just realized that really to realize what we wanted to do with Airplane, our final vision, we just had to do it ourselves. Yeah.
And I'm glad you did, because it was perfect.
It was done right. It was pretty much close to perfect, but
it was done correctly. And because it never gets old, like it's always funny, no matter when I watch it.
For some reason, it's classic. There's scenes there that were funny 45 years ago, and they're still funny today, and that's why Airplane, continues to work. It doesn't get old. Right.
So David and his brother Jerry and Jim Abrams wrote this book, and it's called Shirley, You Can't Be Serious.
Well, Shirley, You Can't Be Serious.
I was saying it funny.
That's the joke. That's right.
The joke. And the Shirley is like, don't call me Shirley. Shirley, You Can't Be Serious, the true story of Airplane, and it's pretty thick. It's got pictures and
it's got pictures, so your audience should be able to get through it
quickly, right? Yes. So that was funny. Anyway, so
you almost got a spit take out of me. We have a contest in the house. If you can get a spit take out of somebody, they owe you $20.
Oh, you owe me $20?
No, I didn't. There was no liquid came out. So,
I thought I made some money over here.
No. We'll see what happens.
So there's a lot of questions. Did you start off as a class clown? You kind of said that.
Yes, I did, and I would say things in class, and I was pretty fearless about doing stuff. Well, once, I was bored. And in this one class, Mr. Kenny, it was a math class. He said, Zucker, you have to write 500 sentences. I will not talk out of turn in class. And so I had to write pages and pages
Oh,
of
no.
sentences. I don't know if they do this anymore, but that's what
Yeah.
teachers did. And so the next day, Mr. Kenny addresses the class. He says, as you remember, yesterday, I made Dave Zucker, that's what they call me, Dave then,
Okay.
made him write 500 sentences. And then he holds up this sheaf of papers, and only Dave thought he would, right in the middle here on page 4, it says, disguised in all these sentences, I bet Mr. Kenny doesn't read these. Well, I bet I do, Dave. 100 more sentences. And so, but it was worth it because I got the laugh. All I want to do, I didn't want to learn. I wanted to get laughs. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to learn.
Yeah.
That should be the name of your.
My next
review.
book, yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to learn.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a laugh.
So,
Anything
we would
for a
do
cheap
things.
laugh.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So do you use life to write your material?
Yes. There's a few examples of it, and just occasionally, not much. There's a combination of movies and real life. We do spoofs on movie scenes, on serious movie scenes. I mean, there was a movie in 1975 called Shaft, starring an actor named Richard Roundtree, and
I
it was
saw
a
Shaft.
blaxploitation movie of the day, and we all went to see it, and we loved it. So we're coming out of the theater and we say, "This is so great! We love this movie,"
Right.
but we didn't understand everything that they were saying.
Right.
So then somebody else said, and this is how the collaboration worked.
Yeah.
Somebody will say something, and then the next person says, well, why don't we should do in Airplane, which we were writing at the
Yeah.
time. How about having 2 black characters and put subtitles? And so that's
my
how
God.
we thought of that idea. And there was another one where the stewardess says, I'm scared. I've never been so scared, and besides, I'm 26 and I'm not married. And so I was 26 at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember I that's what I just threw in, and then Jerry and Jim laughed.
Yeah.
And then they added the bit where the other lady comes in and says, and Leslie Nielsen says to her, how are you bearing up? And she says, well, I'm scared. I've never been so scared, but at least I have a husband. And so, and the stewardess starts crying. So, I mean, that's one of my favorite jokes in the movie, because it doesn't depend on knowing anything. It's just,
Right.
It was funny 45 years ago, and it'll be funny 45 years from now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay, we're going to take another question if you're ready.
Sure.
How would a person know if they have what it takes to write comedy? I think we answered. Did we answer that?
I think our first audiences were our classmates, and I knew I could get laughs. I thought I was funny. I had the self-confidence. And then if you write something, I mean, I suppose in our first audience, when we did video, we got some of the earliest videotape machines in 1971.
Wow.
And we played it for our just friends and family, and we got laughs. And so I think, and now it's much easier to make videos. You can do it on your cell phone, of course. And, you can just try that out, see if you get laughs from friends. And that's how we started, and we gained the confidence. I mean, we already had confidence, but I mean, when we showed one bit, we redubbed a Milwaukee Bucks championship locker room interview, and my dad laughed so hard he was crying, and
Oh my goodness.
it was funny. It was really funny. So, we continued to, when we made the movies, we always played it in front of test audiences, so we could cut the movie, because not everything you shoot will be in the final movie, because the audience is the final arbiter of what's funny and what's not.
Okay, that makes sense. So they want to know where to buy the book. I know Amazon for sure.
Amazon, you can get it. You can go to theairplanebook.com. We own that, and that'll direct you to how to buy it. But we also talk in the book about, we started thinking about what made things funny. We started kind of becoming a little more analytical than
Right.
when we started out in high school or even in our first Kentucky Fried Theater show. It was like anything for a laugh.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you said a swear word, it got a laugh, but we realized that that's a cheap laugh. Or some of the political things that were other groups were doing at the time, we didn't think were funny because it was too easy of a laugh. So we just started evolving. And after we did our first show in LA in 72, we had a friend come to see the show who Jim had known in Madison, and he loved the show, but he said, he was critical of one bit, for example, where he said, well, you're doing a joke on a joke, because you have the straight man being funny, and the person behind in the background was also being funny. So you have to pick one. And so that was our first rule, joke on a joke. And there were other rules that followed that are in the book that I can't remember right now.
You don't have to.
Okay, thank you.
People can go and read it and find out. We have a lot of questions. Wow, look at this.
Okay, I have a lot of answers.
Do you critique your work? Are you your own hardest critic?
Yes, I am. I just, if something doesn't get a laugh, I'm the first one to cut it in the preview process. And when I think back on movies of mine that didn't work, it's important also, and this is not in the book, but I just think it's important not to blame anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a reason for this stuff, and it's not the studio's fault for not distributing it correctly. It just, it was a long time before we figured out what was wrong with Top Secret and why it didn't perform at the box office. Top Secret, since 1984, is like this cult classic. Everybody loves it. They think it's a funny movie, funniest movie, but it doesn't work as a movie because Val Kilmer, who was the protagonist, didn't have this intrinsic problem like Bob Hayes did.
I see.
That he was, had PTSD. He had to overcome his fear of flying.
Right.
And in Basketball, another, cult favorite, and I love the movie, but Matt Stone and Trey Parker, their characters didn't have this intrinsic problem in the first act that they solved in the third end. So, and it often takes me 2 times to learn a lesson.
So you learned it.
So I finally learned it in Basketball, and I haven't made that mistake since. And so after Basketball, I did the two scary movies.
How was that experience? That sounds so interesting.
It was great. It was dealing with Bob Weinstein of the Weinstein brothers.
Yeah.
And Bob was, he was a handful, but
really?
I came to respect him as a picture maker. He was a scary guy, and nobody, no other studio executive ever tried to micromanage me, but he did. And sometimes he would say, the good part of that, he would say, Zucker, you're stopping when you should just be getting started. Mm-hmm. And so he encouraged us to add jokes and, go beyond, keep it going. Mm-hmm. That was good. The other thing, he would send in scenes that he wanted us to do, and they were always bad. So, but I think on balance, I owe a lot to Bob, and, I have a lot of respect for him, and we're still friends.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't see this show. I'm kidding.
No, I know. I wouldn't say anything about anyone if they weren't in the room with me.
I'm teasing.
Yeah. But it's been fun, in my next book there'll be a whole chapter about Bob Weinstein. I have a great picture on the set of Scary Movie 4 where he's visiting the set. He's in my director's chair, and my back is to. I'm facing him, and he's like angry or something. I think it was, I can't remember the circumstances, but I think we staged that.
Yeah. Is this the 26-year-old woman, the actress?
No, that's Julie Haggerty.
Just Julie. I love this
Yeah.
picture. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like this
Julie
scene,
Haggerty.
this scene, the plastic airplane,
Yeah,
the autopilot.
Yeah,
Autopilot was a plastic man.
That's right. No, she was great because there were other actresses who read for the part, including who was the Shelley Long from
Oh,
Cheers,
wow,
who was
Shelley
very
Long.
good, and
Wow.
Sigourney Weaver, who was very good.
Really?
But when Julie read it,
You liked
we
it?
laughed. Yeah, she made us laugh, and Bob Hayes was also the other guy who, we're just so lucky. That's another thing that just we got the right actors for the right
did.
parts.
So I think when she speaks, she's so soft spoken. That's why it's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, and
Because
she
she's
has
so,
this
like,
little girl voice.
And she's
And-
so
and
sweet
She
sounding.
approached it without trying to play it for comedy. She was not acting it.
Okay.
She was really playing herself. So that's why we got away with a lot of it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Good choice. Okay, do you feel actors' timing and delivery matters for the effects to work?
Yes. In comedy, it's the pace. I'm always cutting out pauses. There's a great thing that it's probably still exists somewhere. I'm directing Michael Madsen, and in Scary Movie. Oh no, in My Boss's Daughter. And that's the one I forgot. It was
the movie, My
with
Boss's Daughter,
Ashton
yeah.
Kutcher. So it was the first time I had ever directed him, and you hear my voice from off screen, and I'm saying, okay, now do it again without the pause. And he does it again, and I said, but you pause between the and this and another word. So he
Right.
did it again, and I kept doing it, and he's getting more and more
Angry?
annoyed. No, not angry, because we had a really good relationship.
Oh,
And
good.
in fact, that's another thing about directing. You have to be able to deal with writers, studio production executives, and actors. And every actor is different. You have to handle them different. And I love actors. And everybody said, "Oh no, if you cast Michael Madsen, he'll have you for lunch. He just eats directors alive,
Oh my
all this stuff.
goodness.
It's a scary guy and everything."
Right.
And so I
That
said,
didn't scare
okay,
you.
well, it didn't, because I hadn't, and I had directed quite a few movies up until then. There was no one I couldn't figure out a way to work with. So when he came in for the first meeting, the first rehearsal, I opened up I started to insult him, and I never stopped insulting him.
Oh my goodness.
And he thought it was very funny. So, and I had to figure out that I could do this.
Yeah.
But I just, it's just like a natural, you have to have a lot of people skills. And I think I had a good instinct about what I could get away with.
Right.
With him. Anyways, we had a great relationship, and I did 2 movies with him after that. So, and
You had like a sense of
I
what
had a
to
sense
do.
of what I could do with
Yeah.
him. And then, and Ashton Kutcher came in for, we were reading actresses, and Ashton was helping, very helpful, came in and read the off-screen lines for the actresses. And he was so terrible.
Oh no.
I didn't want to say anything. And I was getting worried because,
Okay.
Ashton Kutcher,
He's so famous.
Surely he's better than this. And
Yes.
anyways, so the first day of shooting, I mean, he's perfect. He's really one of the best comic actors. He's up there with Charlie Sheen and Leslie Nielsen.
Wow.
He's Ashton. I never had to direct him. He was so good, and so, which was great, because I could pay attention to the other actors. Priscilla Presley was also perfect.
Oh my God.
She
I
was
loved
so good.
her in Naked Gun.
She is undirected by me.
She's-
I could spend my time with Leslie, with
Yeah.
whoever. Who is the other one?
That was so intelligent when you
Robert.
had-
Yeah.
I was like so taken aback by that
Right.
you chose her.
Oh,
because she's never in any other movies except your films.
Yeah, no,
And I was like, what?
she was great. And
He's so brave. Like,
and-
I didn't even know you then. And I thought,
yeah,
this is so cool.
well, I had seen her in Dallas, and so we didn't read her for the part. I just saw her in Dallas, and I thought if she could do that, that would be great. And so
Yeah.
we had the first rehearsal, and she was very nervous. And I asked her why, and she said, "Well, I don't know how to be funny, how to do comedy." And I
Right.
said, "Don't worry about it. Do just like you did in Dallas. That's all we
Read the
read."
lines.
Yeah, and I said, "Not really read the lines, but I said, I put it this way. I said, let the lines do the work,
Oh,
and
I see.
your job is to be a dramatic actress, just
Yeah.
like she did." And
Yeah.
so was Leslie's. And Leslie was doing, "I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." I mean, it's a funny
Yeah.
line, but he said it without winking. And it's funnier than would have been with an actor like Bill Murray or Chevy Chase, who are great, funny people,
Right.
brilliant. But in Airplane, the lines wouldn't have worked. It would have been corny. So that's part of why everything worked.
Yeah. And then after Leslie Nielsen was in your films, he became known as a
He
comedian.
became known as a comedy, but
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 before
it-
that, he was a serious
yeah,
actor,
and
wasn't
he had a long
Like a
career
dramatic.
of 20 years
Of-
at least of serious roles.
he?
And
Right.
Leslie was kind of a goofball inside, wanting to get out.
Yeah.
And so, and in the book we described the pranks he would play during shooting. Like he would have this little fart machine.
I was gonna say that. I saw him on one of these late night shows,
Letterman.
like
He
Letterman,
would, yeah.
and he would bring the
And
fart
he would bring
machine.
the fart
And
machine.
if
And
Letterman would move like this, he would press it, and
Yeah.
he had it behind in his
he would have
pocket.
it, yeah.
And then Letterman is
He
like,
would hide
"Hey."
it. And he would do all
It
these
was
interviews.
so funny.
And that's what he would do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he finally brought it out, and he's like, Letterman's like, "Is that you?" He's like,
Yeah.
"No,
But
no."
the
I mean,
but the reason why it worked for him is
Yeah.
because he didn't crack a smile. He just
he's so serious.
didn't let on,
Yeah.
and he kept talking seriously. And that was kind of our way of doing comedy, because my dad could never tell a joke, but Jerry and I remember that he would say funny things
Right.
without cracking a smile or not, winking. And that became Leslie Nielsen. I have
So that's where you get it. You get it from your dad. You
I
and
get
your
it from my
brother.
dad, and
Yeah.
then my grandfather, who I didn't ever know well because I think he died when I was 4. But there's a great picture which we have in the book of me. I'm standing on a chair I was probably 3 years old, and my dad and I have bow ties, and my grandfather took his necktie and tied it into a bow tie,
Oh.
and looking very serious.
Okay.
And so that was, that's in our family. It was
Yeah.
kind of became, you didn't have to go, ha ha. You
Yeah.
didn't have to wink to be funny. So
That's such a good relationship, though. That's
It
like
was, yeah.
it sounds like your father and grandfather had just a very light.
right, yeah,
Yeah,
which
dim-
made up for the times that they beat me senseless.
Oh, they did that.
No,
too?
no, no.
I keep forgetting. You're always
Forgetting,
joking.
no. Yeah. But I said it with a straight face. Yeah.
Yes, you did, and it made us all believe you.
Anybody else have a question there?
Yeah, it says it sounds like you really have fun at your work.
I do. I love what I do. I love making jokes. Love writing. I love directing. And the writing kind of extends to writing the book, because I loved writing the book. Anything that involves creating something, I enjoy.
And what made you want to write the book? Like, what is
Well-
I know you had a long career. Like,
Yeah, we had a long career. We knew it was a unique story, because there's no other story that's like this, of 3 guys who came from nowhere and kind of did what we did, and engaged in Hollywood, and won. So
and created a new
and we
sort
created
of
a new genre. Yeah. So
yeah.
and we realized that the whole story behind it, our friends didn't know, our kids didn't know, our ex-wives didn't know, and so we really wanted to. We thought we should tell the story, and I saved everything. I saved every picture,
So
and
cute.
it's just, and there's so many great people behind it, and we got interviews in the book from all the studio executives who worked on it: Barry Diller, Michael Eisner, Jeff Katzenberg. Everybody has quotes. Bill Hader, people from SNL comment on it. Yeah, Judd Apatow. Everybody is, all these people who became comedy writers and very successand were all influenced evidently by Airplane, which is great. And David Letterman, and then the audiobook, excuse me, also had everybody reads their part in the audiobook.
Okay.
So there's like 35 different people contributing, and they're all in the book.
I see. Very nice. So there's another question. It says, was it hard to film Airplane?
Yes and no. The filming was fun. It was, I don't remember it as being hard. What is difficult is getting it financed, finding Paramount. That was hard. And John Landis says, and we quote him in the book, he says, making the movie is fun. It's trying to get the financing that's, impossible, difficult.
Yeah.
And the other thing about directing is, for all of my movies, so much care and time and detail and effort went into writing the script, and you have to have that. And so that when I got onto the set every day, I knew we had good jokes to film. And so I would have been nervous if I had to wing it and everything. We don't do improvisation in comedy. We just, what's on the page, everything that Leslie Nielsen, Robert Stack, Lloyd Bridges, Leslie Nielsen, everything they say is all scripted, and Bob Hayes and Julie Haggerty. It's all exactly in the script. And during the script writing process, which took years for Airplane, because we didn't know what we were doing, especially, we fought over every word. It was like completely detailed. And so we don't do, people say, how much was improvised? There was nothing improvised. There were some things were thought up on the set. We had everybody, it was a very well-known scene in Airplane when all the passengers there's an hysterical woman, and the passengers are trying to calm her down. So, and it was the doctor first, and then the stewardess, and then the nun, and then somebody suggested, why don't you have a whole line of people with different weapons? And we did that. And the lady who played the hysterical woman, forgot her name, but she said, have them slap me. And so we said, okay, they all slapped.
Stop her, poor thing.
And Leslie, whether we told him to do this or not, it's really one of my favorite moments in the movie, because it's just so out there. He slaps her, and then the stewardess follows him and says, doctor, you're watering up in the front. And he says, okay. And as he leaves, he slaps her one more time. Yeah. It's just it doesn't make any sense. And that's what I love about that.
And it's funny, they all line up, the whole airplane.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I can't remember whether Leslie thought to do that or if we told him. That's lost history because Leslie died. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to. That's what I'd ask him if he were here today.
Yeah, I love Leslie Nielsen. Because of your films, I got introduced to him. I hadn't seen any of his serious films.
Yeah, but I think I've started to say it's not comic timing. And my brother disagrees with me, but it's not brilliant comic timing. It's dramatic timing.
Yeah.
And and it was written on the page. And as long as Leslie would say his lines, and if Julie would say her lines, and Bob, if they would just say their lines in a dramatic fashion, that's comic timing. So it's different than when Jim Carrey is doing something or Eddie Murphy.
Sure.
Now, I mean, those guys do brilliant comic timing. But, when it's in our movies, it's dramatic timing. So, but I can say this because my brother is.
That's very new to me. I've never heard that. That's very.
Yeah.
It's a good way of putting it. Thank you. Somebody's asking about financing. What's the best way to get financing?
Well, I don't know. I have a script right now. I'm trying to get financed. I can't do it. I mean, I have not been successful yet, but I'm not going to give up. So, and I have this whole track record and everything. I have this wonderful script, and it's a struggle to get financing for. So, the answer is I don't know. It's
Keep
like
trying.
keep trying. There's a way if you can get it to an agent, if you know a producer, if you know the local billionaire who lives down the block, try that. You have to have someone to have faith in you. Pat Proft, who my longtime collaborator in writing, and Mike McManus, we had the idea, there should be a Naked Gun 4. There were
Right.
3 of them.
33 and a third.
33 and a third was the last one. And we had a fresh take on it,
Yeah.
and we did it. It was a great script. And Paramount completely rejected us. And I thought I thought it was because I'm an old white guy, but they went and hired younger white guys to do it, as long as they're white guys, I guess. So what Seth MacFarlane, who did Ted and Family Guy,
Yes.
he comes in, hires a director, and I met the director, very nice guy, and they all love Airplane and Naked Gun and Top Secret. They're big fans, but
Right. They hired
Seth. But they think that they can do Naked Gun better than I can. So we'll see.
Oh, they're gonna do Naked Gun 4?
They have already shot it. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so pissed. I'm
Well,
so angry.
Yeah, no,
I'm
so
angry for
so
you.
am I. But
What?
you can't do it. You can't do it.
Rage.
You can't
Let's
do
go
anything. I'm not gonna.
billboards in the street.
No, it's
I'm
like
kidding.
there's an old saying: "Don't get mad, get even." I don't
Right.
know. I'm going to kill each one of them.
Okay.
No. I want to do my own movie, and I'll do Star of Malta. We took our Naked Gun 4 script, repurposed it, called it Counterintelligence, spelled with one L and a J.
Yeah.
And we it's still a good story, and
Yeah.
it's completely not. It's not even about an LA cop. It's a spoof on Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And,
I was
and
gonna say
James
that.
Bond and Bourne
James Bond
Identity.
and-
So
yeah.
that's what audiences want to see
Right.
is
The spoof of
is
the
well
Mission
they in 2024 there are still international spy thrillers. People want to see those. So they're not making Dirty Harry movies or
No.
cop movies that much anymore.
No.
So that's what we
Cowboy
want to do.
movies,
And so we
gone.
want to do that.
Yeah.
And I have to, people ask me, how do you get into business? I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm trying to get into business, and I will, just because
Yeah.
nothing has ever stopped me before.
Right.
So yeah, so
No plan B.
No, there's no plan B.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, David. We're coming on to the last couple minutes of the show. So
Well,
if
this
anyone-
went fast.
I know it's almost 50 minutes. So
Okay.
we're getting
Can we take any more questions?
yeah, let me see what we didn't answer. I think we answered everything.
Okay.
Where can the book
Every last question that
Do you
could
feel
possibly be asked.
when do you feel like do people get paid well for scripts
Yeah, I mean they do.
just to sell their script?
Yeah,
not
not
like-
as a first time, not as an opening thing. I mean, I think there's Writers Guild minimums
Right.
that you get, unless it's an independent movie and it's not a WGA or Directors Guild signatory. I don't know. You can get $1,000. You can get 10. You can get 100. I don't know. We'll see. I think that I have, in my career, I've commanded a lot more than Writers Guild minimum.
Right.
But for Star of Malta, which is the script that I want to get done, I'll take it because I want to get the movie done, and
That makes sense.
I want to, and you can take less upfront for a salary and then get a piece of the profits,
At the end.
which is called
Yeah.
the back end.
The back end, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we only have 1 minute left and one question. What's the best place to pitch a script? The best place would be at agencies, no?
At agencies,
Yeah.
you have to find an
You have
agent,
to find an
or
agent.
as I say, find a rich guy who
That will back you up.
Yeah,
At
I don't
least
know.
put some money down.
I've pitched
Yeah.
my script all over the place, and the answer is always no.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to give up because I know it's great. I mean, I have this confidence, but it's the same thing that I faced 45 years ago, and we had this script which got turned down everywhere. So
Right.
that's why I think the book is inspiring.
Yeah.
Just
So
don't-
get the book
don't
if you
take-
want to
yeah,
answer your
don't
more
take no for an
questions.
answer. Yeah,
Yeah. So thank you so much, David,
sure.
for
This
being
was
here.
wonderful. Thank you.
I really enjoyed. I got more than I thought I would get out of you.
Okay, go. Oh, you didn't think much of me before this. Okay, that's what most people.
No, I
Say.
always thought a lot of you actually. And
Okay,
admire
thank you.
your films.
Thank you. That's what I
And
need
I'm
from everyone. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. So
Okay.
I'm so excited that
Oh,
you were.
Wonderful.
we
No,
were able to have this
I love doing this.
conversation.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
And so go get the book. It's on Amazon as well as airplane.com. Is that
Theairplanebook.com.
theairplanebook.com. So go
Yeah.
get a copy, and hopefully one day we'll have a book signing and you can bring it in and they will sign it. We'll
Would
work
love
on
to.
that.
That's right.
We'll,
Yes.
we'll work on that
Yeah.
next. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. Follow me on Anahita TV at YouTube. If there's anything like that ever comes up, I'll definitely let you know. David is such a wonderful person to get to know, and he'd be happy to sign your books.
I would.
Yes.
Of course.
Thank you so much, David.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Yes. Bye, everybody.